Welcome to the Business and People podcast. I'm your host, Walt Bayliss, and on today's episode, we talk with published author Jen Forster about her book, The Power of a Peaceful Woman, and we talk about the way that the must-have, need-to-do society is creating stress, and of course, how people can deal with that in a one-on-one basis where you can really take away the anxiety that comes with all of that pressure. Jen talks about some of the lessons that she would like to deliver to people coming through, from students and people who find themselves in all kinds of positions in their life, and how they can really find a bit more peace and harmony with their day-to-day activities and still be able to achieve an amazing life as a result. Jen's a fantastic speaker. She's a coach and an author, and really loved the time that we spent together. I hope you do too. Welcome to the Business and People podcast and our special guest for today, Jen Forster. Jen Forster, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Walter, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm truly honoured and really grateful to be here.
Oh, well, it is our pleasure. Now, Jen, you've done some amazing things. In addition to being a lover of red wine and chocolate, you have also had some amazing things. You've been a professional fitness coach. You're a solo mum. You're a mentor and a speaker. You're traveling the world. And of course, now you have this amazing book, which is The Power of the Peaceful Woman. I'm fascinated to hear about that. But how did you get to where you are today? I'm sure that is a fascinating story.
It is a fascinating story. So, look, I guess it starts where the book begins, which is back when I was 39. And I was at a point in my life where, from the outside looking in, it truly looked like I had it all, career, family, hubby, beautiful home, Sunshine Coast, the whole, box and dice. But somewhere deep inside of me, and I think anyone who's listening to this podcast will know that deep down feeling that we sometimes get, that although on the outside all the boxes are being ticked, deep down, you're not where you're meant to be, or at the very least, you're not doing what you're meant to be doing. And that happened to me when I was 39. So much to the surprise of the outsiders looking in, I left my marriage and started to move into doing things that actually excited me and lit me up and really fulfilled me in a way that what I'd been doing up until then had really just been, I think, and I see so many people do this, it's the trajectory that most humans think they have to be on,
right?
That's not necessarily the one. There are a million versions of that available to us, but we tend to look down a telescope and fixate on one particular thing and not even question whether we can deviate from that or not. So I deviated from it a lot, and my quest and my constant curiosity to question everything is probably what dotted me from project to project, business to business, adventure to adventure. I would come to know that I did this intuitively. I now know there's a formula to it as well, which is what the book is all about, The Power of a Peaceful Woman. But really following what lit me up versus what I am supposed to do was probably the thing that that guided me the most. I went from, look, I've had things, my first business was a chocolate shop in Montville, in here on the Sunshine Coast. I had my own women's fitness business. I co-managed a couple of boutique gyms. I started my own fitness publication, like an actual, hard copy magazine. I traveled to Saudi Arabia and spent some time teaching health and fitness at a vocational college for women.
Wow.
So there's a lot that I've done, but for me, the driving force has always been making a difference and serving in some way.
Yeah, right. Okay. Was there a conscious moment for you, or was there and you don't have to go into details if you don't want to, but was there a traumatic trigger, or was there an awakening? Was there a moment when you just said, this is a different direction than I feel like I should be? Was there something that happened that pushed your trajectory side?
Look, it's the same thing that pushed it, so that constantly has me knowing when to move and when to make a move. And I write chapter 40 in the book deals with this, and the concept is around radical responsibility. So we all know what being responsible is, and taking responsibility is all about. But I find when I speak to people so often, it's not that they don't want to take responsibility, they're just not sure what it is that they want to do. So
right.
the thing that I use to check in with that is a concept called not this. So
tell me about that.
So often when I get this feeling, and it is a feeling, it's an internal feeling where I can just feel that I'm not on course, or I'm not aligned, or it's and I would again suggest a lot of your listeners would be familiar with this particular feeling. It's just this tug where you just know you're not where you're meant to be. I didn't know something's not right.
Yeah.
So I always know that when that happens, I need to look at the not this component. So whilst I don't know what it is, I do know it's not this. So it takes a bit of trust, and it takes a little bit of just being a little bit ballsy about it. But if you can identify that you're in a not this situation, trust in that and move towards something that actually kind of expands your heart a little bit. So it's like a physical feeling. It'll feel like your chest is actually, taken on some sort of, it'll have doubled in size.
You're feeling that feeling of joy, of lightness, I guess.
It's a feeling of joy and lightness. So, and I used to say, even when it doesn't make sense, but I now actually say, especially when it doesn't make sense, follow that feeling. Because that's the thing that will move you away from the not this moment or thing that you're doing that is completely pulling you off course.
Wow. So now as we look and we can see that the power of a peaceful woman is being in over 35,000 retail outlets around the world. It's on Amazon. It's on everywhere that you can possibly get to. I want to focus on the word peaceful just for a moment, because I find, so I've read The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, which is an amazing book, incredible resource there as well. But that concept of being peaceful in your ambition and moving forward, is that a big factor for you in driving your life from now?
Oh, look, absolutely, Walt, absolutely. And it's a concept that was truly, and I think for many, many, many women, is a foreign concept. I actually did a little survey back before I started writing the book, and I asked some women in a group that I was a part of to tell me what they thought when they heard the word peaceful. And many of them felt that it was complacent, it was compliant, it was giving over, it was giving in, it wasn't right. And it intrigued me so much. So I did some more, research and a bit more, digging and delving around. But what I found is that we move away from peaceful because women more so than men, I think, are really pulled and tugged by the not enough syndrome. We have to keep doing. Yeah, we have to keep doing. Now, doing is something that's anything other than peaceful. Yes. And I think over time, the last couple of decades in particular, women have forgotten what it is to just follow their innate knowing. We're all born with it, but I think because we have been trying to compete, we've tried to keep up, we've really been driven by an energy of fear versus an energy of love and open-heartedness, we've come to think of peaceful as something that isn't powerful.
Wow.
I now would really like to have women take on that it is, in fact, not only is it powerful to be peaceful, it's the most powerful energy source that you'll ever tap into.
I love that, because it's the power of the peaceful woman as the title. And I think I can only see it's interesting. I can only speak from the position of a 40-year-old male, 43-year-old male, and I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm saying, do you know what? Men are facing the same thing too. It's that war of I'm not enough. I need to keep pushing through and to be able to find the peace in themselves. And so let's talk about men and female and women and men at the same, and just say finding that peacefulness of your own ability to be in control of your life, I think is going to help everybody to be able to move that forward in a strong way. Now, I do want to come back to the fact that it's the power of the peaceful woman, because I love that as the book. Father of 2 daughters, I want to make sure that they have a peaceful and powerful life moving forward. Do you think that...
Well, just before we go on, if I can touch, or perhaps this might be your next question, I wanted to touch on, how to know, so the concept of what should I do versus what do I want to do? Because
Tell me about that. That'll be amazing. Yeah.
The lack of being peaceful, I think, comes from this constant push, which you just touched on, which is why I wanted to circle back to it. This constant push of what we're supposed to do and what we should do, and that energy of trying and forcing and pushing against what we're here to do. And I think that comes from the fact that we live in a world that is completely and totally underpinned by fear. So if you look at all of the basic structures that sit underneath humanity, if you look at education, business, sales and marketing, relationships, health, fear sits under almost everything. So fear is this energy of what you're supposed to do. If you don't pass the test, you're going to get left behind. If you don't become successful in business, you're going to be left behind. If you don't get married and have kids, you're going to be left behind. Now, left behind is a concept that eats away at one of the fundamentals that is to be human, and that is connection. So the very thing that is fundamental to being human is the very thing that very secretly sits underneath as a driver for almost all of our decision making, and especially so in business. Yeah. So the way I like to unpack that is if you feel yourself in a should energy or a trying energy, I should do this or I'm trying to do that, have a look at the fear that might be sitting underneath that. Is the leap you're wanting to take or not wanting to take being energized through a fear of getting or not getting, or is it actually being motivated by something that is more open-hearted and something that has a more innate feel to it? It's a knowing, it's that deep down feeling.
Do you think that it's a disconnect between the rational need for fear, and obviously that fight or flight? And I've heard I've read a lot of your material. We're talking about combating that fight or flight and fear kind of mentality. Do you think that there's a society pushing people, and that underlying fear is just off track all the time? Sorry, I've probably just answered my own question, but so let me bring that around and say, if somebody's out there listening to this right now, Jen, and they're saying, yeah, I understand, I'm hearing you, Jen, I want to wrap my arms around you because that's exactly what I'm feeling. What would you say to them to be able to say, here's how to deal with that and move yourself back onto a beautiful course, a powerful and peaceful course?
Yeah, the way I do it these days is it goes against everything, perhaps I've always done. I did my MBA a couple of years ago, and when I did my MBA, it was because I wanted to, work overseas, and it was going to be useful for that. But I now understand that the reason I did my MBA was perhaps to know how I never want to do business.
Wow.
Because it uses all these old systems and processes that push against that fear-based decision making. So the way I tend to approach this now is, when I am faced with, which way do I go? Do I go, this way or this way? Instead of giving into that anxious energy, that nervous energy, that like social media, I have to, right? Otherwise I'm going to miss out, or I'm going to get left behind. Notice that, and instead put your hand on your heart, stop for a second, take a breath, and actually ask yourself, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? And then the trick is to listen. The trick is to actually listen, because the first thing that's going to kick in is that egoic mind that is being motivated by this fear of missing out and getting left behind. It's going to go, but we're going to not, this isn't going to happen, and this isn't going to happen. It's going to take some trust. It's going to take a little bit of it's going to feel clunky. It's going to feel like driving a car, because this is not how we've been taught to navigate business. But for me, I see a world that's imploding on itself at the moment, because look at sales and marketing. Look at sales and marketing, for example. You know, the run to the back of the room mentality for selling, the buy now or you'll miss out. Don't tell me you don't see through that. Every single person sees through that. So as consumers now of this particular world that we're now living in, we have to start to think about how we're being sold to, and how we're even being, encouraged to buy. I don't know.
Yeah. How those restrictions are being placed on us, how that scarcity is being constantly pushed on us, and if you don't have, and if you're not doing, and all those kind of things. Like even coming back to a health kind of focus, which I know that you've had some experience in. That society says you have to be this particular way, you have to look that certain way. Yeah. Now, I would combat that and say that shouldn't be your motivation, because your motivation should come from internally, right? This is absolutely. I want to do this particular task rather than I have to.
Can you see, I know as we're chatting now, this concept, this moving away from what should I do, and, you know, the get gain, and coming back to what is it innately in me that wants to do this next thing, and actually tapping into that. Imagine 7.5 billion people moving from a place or a space of what they want to do versus what they're supposed to do or have to do. Yeah. Our world would be unrecognizable. And it's not just in business. It is in health, and it is in our relationships, and it is in our education system. You know, it's in everything that this way of moving is occurring. And I call it, so I have a second book under construction at the moment, which deals with all of this. So the book is called Openhearted, and the subtitle is Falling in Love with Fear, the way we fall in love with love. And it really is a book that cracks open the invisible energy system that is fear, that literally threads and weaves its way through almost every thing that we do as humans. And really opening up the concept to to looking at a different energy source, one that is more open-hearted, one that is tapping into the innate gifts that we're all born with, instead of pushing against them.
Wow, being more connected instead of being more driven like a railroad carriage. Now, I do have to clarify, though. I mean, it wouldn't be... So in the scenario where I have to get this done, sometimes there's a reality where tasks have to be done. But if the anxiety of that is lowering your energy, I guess, the anxiety of, I have to do it, better way, am I right in saying the better way to deal with that is finding the reasons why you want to? So in other words, absolutely, I have to do this. You can reframe that a little bit by just pausing and going, hang on a second. Why do I want to do this? If I do this, how's it going to help me? And immediately, even as I'm talking to you, and I hope anybody that's listening, even as I say it to you, I feel the stress and the anxiety of what I have to do
start to eke away.
Start to completely get out of my system in a much more positive, okay, well, I know I have to do this, but I want to because. So it's not about shirking the task. It's about wanting the result.
It's about tapping into, the part of you that is going to bring the best part of that to the world. So you're going to bring something to the world from a lack, or from a space of scarcity, or a space of not having or being enough as a human, versus bringing that same thing forward from a space of giving, from a space of connection, from a space of love. Peace, from a space of love. And what actually comes forward is in fact, it'll be your best work. It'll actually end up being your best work, because you're not trying to. So when you're in this get gain mentality, when you're in this, I'm going to, give you this information so that you get this back, you're actually already coming from a place of lack. You're already coming from, I need to get something from someone, so I've got to give this actual correct piece of information. So you're already putting an energy force out there that is already coming from lack. So lack plus lack just equals more lack. But when you start to operate from your heart space, and we wonder why the world is in, we're in this space, a world that is, really, we've still got wars, we've still got, people starving and all this kind of terrible stuff, like there's so much stuff, but we're trying to transform our planet from a space of lack. We're all operating from this fear.
I have to have it. I have to have it. I have to have it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So if we shifted, even, it's not that we stop doing anything. It's not that we all, I joke to people all the time, I'm not Zen Jen. I don't just sit on a rock in the middle of nowhere and just chant Om. I get stuff done. But the place from which that comes from now is a place of peace, it's a place of calm, it's a place of contribution, it's a place of collaboration, rather than get it done. And
I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what just before we came on, I like to jump onto social media and ask listeners, would you like to ask any questions for this amazing woman? And I think you saw the question that it was Madison that asked, what would you like to do?
I loved it.
What would you like to do differently that would have changed your direction? So let me ask you that, now that we kind of understand the transition that you've been through, how do you think knowing that back 20 years ago, let's say, would have affected you and what you've been able to do, create, and have in your life?
I think, the thing that this is the piece of wisdom that if I could pass on, in fact, I have passed it on to my kids. I have a daughter who's almost 21 and a son who's almost 23. And the thing that I tell them now, I used to say to them years ago, do what you love and success will follow. I used to, kind of mandate that. But when they were looking at me in my life, they were quite right in knowing, well, hang on a sec, Mum, you're not actually doing that. You're not doing what you love and success is following. You're just doing. There's plenty of doing. There's plenty of doing. So that would be the thing, and it's what I advocate to my kids now. So I remind them to have a look at where they're leaping from. Is the thing I'm about to do, say, want, have, achieve, am I leaping from a place of love? Or am I leaping from a place of fear?
Wow.
Is it fear driving this next decision? And you can apply that to anything, but is fear driving the decision? So when they say, I'm not sure which road to take, do I go down this road or do I go down this road? Do I make this choice or do I make this choice? I ask them, well, what's underneath it? Are you going to go this way because you fear getting or not getting something? Or are you going this way because your heart's going, yes, this feels amazing. This actually excites me. This lifts me up and lights me up. If it's that, then go that way. But otherwise, you are leaping from fear, and that's it's
the word leaping. I think, as somebody who thinks in pictures, if your decision making paradigm is based on fear, it feels like jumping off a cliff. I'm not sure what's going to come, and no wonder our stress levels are through the roof as a result.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have that as a position of love before you're stepping forward, the difference is you're stepping on a path proven to a pinnacle of a mountain. Like we're either jumping off a cliff and hoping, or we're stepping forward on a proven path. Like that, it just feels so much better straight away. So what's the daily routine, Jen, that helps you in that understanding of the right way to make choices, the right way to live your life?
Look, people ask me this question a lot, and my answer is actually really simple. My job every single day is to get up and open my heart. Full stop. That's it. That's my job every single day, is to live open-heartedly. So no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm speaking on a podcast like I am right now, whether I am, I don't use the word coaching anymore. I find coaching to me, it implies that I have the answers. It implies that the person that I'm dealing with doesn't have the answers. So it already puts me on a linear pathway, which I don't think is in any way creating so I use the word expansion. So the word I use now when I'm dealing with people is, it's an expansion process. So I meet people where they are and we literally expand together. So, it's not about me being right, them being wrong, me having the answers, them not having the answers. We've all got this, we're all tapped into the same innate wisdom that, you know, the same energy that beats my heart beats your heart, you know. So it's really important to me that I don't, from a space of integrity, which is also a rather overused word, but you know, I would rather really just crack open together with someone through a questioning process, which I know is known as coaching. Coaching to me just still has a little bit of fear that sits under it, that I know something that you don't, and I truly don't believe that at all. I believe we've all got the capacity to tap into everything that we need to know. Sometimes it helps to do that with someone, you know, through a conversation, but yeah, I don't subscribe to, here's a $20,000 package, I've got the answers for you.
In
I'm
6
not
sessions
100%.
or less.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
it.
not 100% sold on that anymore.
So, Jen, what's something that people would find surprising about you? If they knew, what would they say? Wow, I would have never imagined that.
Well, something surprising about me. Well, that's a really tricky question, because I am extremely, you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve. If you search my social media, you will find pretty much anything you want to know about me. I probably shouldn't be telling the world that, but that's the truth. Look,
That's good.
One of the things that that I am, that not a lot of people would perhaps associate with me, because I'm quite driven and I'm quite, you know, I like to achieve, and I do that from an open heart these days versus, you know, a fear-based place. But I am a pacifist. I'm actually a pacifist. So I do, you know, I really abhor bullying of any kind. Yeah,
I can see how that
yeah, bullying, torture, you know, poking the bear, all that it really just doesn't resonate with me at all. And I find it really demotivating. And I think that's probably comes back to that coaching title as well. To me, coaching, it's putting you above somebody, or it's,
I see.
You know, whenever there's a I'm here and you're there, whenever there's a pedestal mentality happening, and I write about that in my book as well. I think the world has a lot of pedestal positioning in business, and I think the second you think that something is above you, you're putting it in a precarious position where it could actually fall. And then it falls, and the person, you know, the thing that was actually put up on the pedestal didn't get asked to be put there in the first place. But, you know, you've put it up there, and now it's wobbled off, and
there's a process that you have to deal with. That you have to, you know, go through another setback or another whatever. You've used the word bullying a couple of times there. Have you had an experience of working with someone? Actually, let's see if we can do it a different way. During a podcast, I typically have a 60-second challenge, and my challenge is normally focused on business. So it's a friend of yours has started their own business. What advice would you give? But if I could, Jen, just because of the position that you're in, with the experiences that you've had, let's see if we can help some. Anyone who's listening, anybody who might be watching, if they have or are currently going through an experience of being bullied, where they're being made feel less than they are, how could you deliver some message or some help to some people there within kind of a 60-second framework?
Okay, within 60 seconds. The first thing I would say to anybody is know that you're enough, always, and in all ways. You are enough. And if you are being bullied, you need to take on that it's not about you, that the person that's doing the bullying potentially has some unhealed wound or some you know, issue or something they've never dealt with themselves, and they're projecting it out onto you. So bullying is never about you, it's about the person doing the bullying. And if you can, of course, whether it's, you know, especially if it's physical or even, you know, emotional, remove yourself from it. You know, it's it actually makes you a powerful person to remove yourself from it, to
consciously choose to avoid in all ways and move on.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, there's lots of avenues in terms of professional help and that kind of stuff. But that's great to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. And again, this is something I've said to my kids. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I'm okay. I'm okay. I am everything I need to be. I'm okay." So recognize that first, and of course, remove the thought that you're not enough. It's a fault of the other person, and they're something that's missing for them. And of course, remove yourself from the situation. Jen, I'm loving that the message you're putting through with the power of the peaceful woman, and the subtitle of that is it 49 ways to drop the armor
and diffuse the drama.
I like it. And I think that's going to lead to a much more peaceful life for so many people. And of course, you can find that wherever you search on Google. Have there been any books that have made a big difference to your life, Jen? Has there been a book that you would say, add this one to your list?
Yes. The book I always tell people to add to their list is Michael Singer's The Untethered Soul.
Wow.
It's a short book, but it's a truly profound book. It's
fantastic.
It brings everything back to you, which, let's face it, it all starts and ends with you or me.
Absolutely. No matter where you go, there you are. Are you a reader, Jen? Are you somebody?
I am a reader. Yes, like limiting it to one book. I'm constantly reading. There's 3 books I carry around with me. Byron Katie's Loving What Is, The Untethered Soul. These are all massively highlighted and dog-tagged and whatever. And Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. So it was about 10 or 12 years ago that I tried to read, and I say tried to read, Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. And in all transparency, I never got past chapter 1.
Wow.
It literally put me to sleep because it's really high level. It's really high level content. And that's interesting, actually. Somebody said to me the other day, and I'm not sure who this is insulting, me or Eckhart Tolle, but my book, The Power of a Peaceful Woman, they referred to as the kindergarten version of The Power of Now, because
I would take that as a compliment. I think that's great,
because it takes all this high level wisdom, but I apply it really experientially to day-to-day life, to day-to-day scenarios. So, no matter the question, love is the answer. What does that even look like? How does that apply to a solo mum of 2 kids living on the Sunshine Coast? Where would that show up in my life? So it's a very practical read. But having said that, those books, I really love them. Yep, I love them a lot.
And in addition to working on Openhearted, your next masterpiece, which I'm excited to see coming through as well, what else is on your horizon? What are some of the things that are occupying your days these days?
So I've got some workshops and some retreats coming up, and I've just actually, this is really exciting. So I've just set one up in Barcelona in Spain, a full-day retreat in Barcelona in Spain. That's in November, and some work as well in Los Angeles before I head to Barcelona. So that's pretty exciting too. That
is very, very cool. And Jen, I'm so grateful for your time, and I really appreciate it. I know you had other plans today, and I've interrupted you with jumping on the podcast. I am extremely grateful. So I'll just ask you a couple more questions if I can, and I'll let you be on your way. Who's someone in your life as a role model that you look up to? Who's someone that you model, emulate? Who inspires you with what they do?
Somebody at the moment who really inspires me is a dude called Kyle Cease. Okay. I don't know if everybody knows of him, but if not, Google him. He is a radical human being with a radical approach to shifting the consciousness of the planet. So and he uses comedy to deliver his transformational tools. He's great. So Kyle Cease. Yeah.
I'll make sure we pop his name into the show notes as well. And I guess my last question then, Jen, would be if you had a chance to talk to a room full of graduate students. Now your kids are 23, 21.
Yeah.
Mentioned that you've had that experience of understanding to get rid of the drama, get rid of the should have, must do mentality. But if you're honest, if you have a stage and a few minutes to talk to a room full of graduate students just freshly out of school, what message would you give them that would help them have a more fulfilled and more peaceful life?
Look, I probably will get shot off stage for even saying this, but I would say to them, it's all lies. Everything that you've been told to this point is all lies.
Wow.
Yeah, there is no not getting anywhere. There is no missing out. There is no somewhere to get. Everything will be okay. Everything will turn out just as it's meant to.
As much as it's confronting and you say everything is a lie up until now, it's a beautiful message when you supplement it with the words, everything will be okay. You know,
absolutely.
And we all
I think our young people really need to know that more than anything, because they are, you know, up until 18, 19, before they even potentially, well, they're almost threatened with university. You know, our kids are, you know, you have to, you know, I just think it's a lie. And I think that they need to know that they don't have to know anything. They don't have to know where they're going. They don't have to know what they want to do. They could do a million things in their lifetime, and to just relax and know that they are going to be okay.
And I hope anybody that's listening to this, they can relate that. It doesn't matter whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You don't have to feel a certain way, because everything will be
not at all.
The whole world.
Everything will be. You know what? It really is. It's, and you know, that's one of the things I live by. Everything will be okay.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Jen, thank you so much for your time. It's a real
pleasure
to sit with you. I'm excited for The Power of the Peaceful Woman. I think that's amazing. And of course, Openhearted coming through as well. Thank you for the gift that you've given us with your time. And I wish you all the success in the future.
Oh, well, and back at you. And thank you everyone for tuning in and listening, and and spending a little bit of time to, you know, to do and be better.
See you on the horizon. Thanks again, Jen. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.